What we're doing in this series is we're looking at a parable that Jesus taught that helps us to see why some of the things that God wants to grow are prevented from growing. What we're doing today is we're looking at another part of this parable as Jesus explains what happens when the good things God wants to do for you, it's comparable to a farmer who sows seeds and scatters seeds into some thorns that are in the ground. Here's what Jesus said. In Matthew chapter 13, he said, "The seed falling among the thorns refers to someone who hears the word, but the worries of this life and the deceitfulness of wealth choke the word, making it unfruitful." Jesus points to two things that can get in the way, that can choke out the good things that God wants to grow. And these things might seem unrelated at first, but they're actually quite similar. The first thing he points to is this concept that there's worries of life that can choke out the good things that God wants to do. Now, I don't want to minimize the things you worry about, but at some point, you have to minimize the value of worrying. It does not change anything. It does not add anything. It can't take anything away. All worry does is it drains your time, your energy, your sleep, and it's not something that any of us want. So if you've had some worry, here's what I want you to know. That worry has been driving you to seek help inwardly. Seek help from yourself, and that can minimize the help that God wants to do and what he wants to grow in you. And the other thing that Jesus points to, which seems like something completely different, but actually is very similar, he points to the deceitfulness of wealth. The deceitfulness of wealth is this, that if you have enough wealth, you won't have to worry. You won't have to seek anyone's help. You'll be fine. Now, can wealth make you happy? Yeah, it can make you happy, but only for a short amount of time. It's like this sugar high kind of happiness that leaves you worse than before. The deceitfulness of wealth is that you need more and more and more and more, and it never gives you what it promises. The deceitfulness of wealth is dangerous because it leads you to seek help from no place. And the reason why it's so dangerous, this deceitfulness of wealth, is because it leaves you in a place where you don't think you need anyone else's help. So the remedy is this. When it comes to your garden, the things that God wants to grow in you and sow in you, here's what we need to do. Number one, get out your gloves, get on your knees, and start weeding. It's time to look at that worry and say, worry, it's time that we had a talk. Worry, it's been fun having you in my life, but it's time to replace you with something better. And you get on your knees and you pray to God, God, the things I'm worrying about, I have no control over. The weight of my future is too much for me to carry. God, would you remove this worry and replace it with a promise? And you turn to the wealth that you've been turning to for hope and help and confidence. And you say to that wealth, it's been fun, but it's time for you to leave. It's time for you to be removed from my life. God, would you give me the strength and the hope and the faith to take this God out of my life and replace it with your promises? Now, here's what I know. You can't go through your entire garden in one day and weed the whole thing. But what if today you put on your gloves, you got on your knees, and you humbled yourself before God to let him determine what gets to stay and what gets to go? And then you take that first step and you say, God, would you give me the faith, the trust, the strength to remove what does not belong so that what you want to grow can thrive?